This story is all about a teenager who gets lost at sea for 43 days with no food or water, 1,100 miles away from shore. 28 of September 1998. Arif Wanda was born in Indonesia. Arif lived with his parents in a small village within West Papua. It was small, but was enough for the Wandas to survive. Arif worked as a fisherman from the young age of 16 to help support his family. Every day, Arif would leave in the mornings to go work in the waters of West Papua using a raft that had handcrafted to go fishing until before he would return every day before nightfall. They didn't have much, but they were still happy to see each other. This was his main motivation, to keep going out to catch more fish. Arif would keep going out further and further to bring more fish for his family, but one day he went too far. Arif didn't return home. Arif's parents were worried about him because he would always return before nightfall. So the next morning, they began a search party for Arif Wanda. His parents went to the shore of where he would leave and return every morning for 5 days straight. They even asked other fishermen to keep an eye out for him, but as the days went on, Arif did not return. Arif had been dragged out far into the Pacific Ocean. He couldn't stop thinking about the moment this occurred, looking at his country slowly becoming more distant, until the blur became nothingness. He remained calm for the first week, having faith in that his community would find him. Arif had nothing but a vest and shorts and a couple days' worth of food and no water. He'd been rationing his food for over a week now, where all he could do is stare at the blank bed of the sea, hoping someone would find him. The only way he could drink to survive on this dangerous journey in the middle of the ocean was filtering the salt water through his vest. As the weeks go by, Arif slowly starts to lose his mind in the blazing heat. He starts to imagine a plate full of food and buckets of fresh water. He woke up from this dream to go back into this nightmare of being stuck on this raft. In his wake, he sees a light in the distance. It was another boat in the mere distance. Arif done everything in his power, trying to signal or get attention from the boat, jumping and even screaming at the top of his lungs. But there was no hope. The boat just sailed past. Almost a month into his misery, he broke down on his knees and started crying. Wishing to see his family, he would often pray and pretend to have conversations with them, often fishing most of the day to continue surviving this horror. A bird landed on the raft, restoring his faith, knowing he was not alone in this situation he was in. A few more days pass before he sees a big object floating towards him. And his raft, he couldn't tell if this was living or not, but whatever it was coming towards him fast. In a panic, he began trying to paddle away with the whale scraping by, leaving the raft wobbling side to side before it dived back into the depths of the ocean, leaving Arif shaking in fear with what else could happen. Luckily for Arif, he escaped unscathed to continue sailing for another few days, and to his surprise, a ship was passing only a mile away. Arif jumped with joy, seeing the boat head towards his direction. He began screaming and waving his arms around in the air, and to his absolute shock, one of the men aboard the boat had spotted his cry for help. Arif felt a wave of happiness wash over him, knowing he would get to see his family again, and started crying tears of joy, knowing he could live his regular life again. The cargo ship sent out a bright orange dinghy with a crew member aboard, hurried towards Arif's raft. He hopped on with delight, thanking the crew member with exhilaration. They proceeded to rush him aboard the cargo ship to get him fresh clothes, clean water, and something to fill his stomach before asking how long he'd been out at sea. He then uttered the words, 43 days. He then realized how lucky he was that the cargo ship was en route to the Philippines. After what felt like an eternity, he arrived at the doorstep of the Philippines. He rushed to the nearest airport, happy to feel the ground beneath his feet once more. He got the earliest flight back to West Papua. Arif began to trek back to his family's village. Striding to his front door, he began to enthusiastically banging on the door. Arir's parents see his silhouette through the window of the door and answer quicker than the speed of light to hug each other. They made a vow to never take their situation for granted again.